or simply optimize your performance, she has the expertise and experience you need. That's Triad Sports and Family Chiropractic. And we are underway, and Babs is going to be our first lead jammer of the night for the Jewel Boxers. Wolfsbane out there for the Guardians. Let's see how many points the Jewel Boxers picked up. That's going to be 3 to start off this game. De La Hoya taking the line now. Going up against Shira. And Shira is your lead jammer, Guardians. Picking up 4 points before calling off the jam. We got ourselves our first lead change. Polyrath out there for the Boxers. Shutter Speed for the Guardians. Polyrath trying to work that outside line, but Brawlo boots him out. Meanwhile, Shutter Speed's going to be your lead jammer, Guardians. So 4 points there for the Guardians, 2 points there for the Boxers. Wolfsbane on the line now for the Guardians, going up against Babs for the Boxers. Boxers down 1 blocker as Birdo stands in the penalty box, so they will return to play here shortly. A 4-on-3 pack advantage for the Guardians. And Babs finds an inside line, is going to be your lead jammer. Lady Lorax taking a seat in the penalty box for a pack destruction call. 4 points for each side so far. And going to be 2 there on the second pass for the Boxers, a full 4 for the Guardians. Babs a little late with the call off there, and that allowed Wolfsbane to get the full 4 before calling that jam off. So it's going to be Shira out there now for the Guardians, De La Hoya out there for the Boxers. And Shira finds an outside line and quickly secures lead jammer. So a quick 4 points there for the Guardians before Shira calls the jam off. Stretches that lead to 9 as the Guardians have 20, the Boxers 11. Polyrath out there now to jam for the Boxers. Shutter Speed for the Guardians. And we have our first power jam of the evening, a track cut call on Polyrath. So a power jam for the Guardians. Shutter speed, your lead jammer.
Someone's got to hit Draggy.
Look, you tell her to hit somebody, and then you're not happy with the hit. So 4 points so far for the Guardians. The power jam comes to an end. Ooh, big hit there by Cruciferous on Polyrath. So Shutter Speed's going to call that one off. It's like 3 more points on that second pass. So it's going to be 7 points total. Spreads that lead out. 27-11 now. Wolfsbane out there for the Guardians. Babs out there for the Boxers. Babs gets around the inside line, picks up lead jammer for the Boxers. So a 0-0 jam. So it's going to be Sheer on the line now for the Guardians. De La Hoya out there for the Boxers. And De La Hoya is going to be your lead jammer. A little late on the call off there, so 2 points for the Guardians, 3 points for the Boxers. .22:15 to go here in the first half. Your score, 29 Guardians, 14 Boxers. It's going to be Shutter Speed out there now for the Guardians. Draggy taking the line for the first time for the Boxers. And Shutter Speed's going to be your lead jammer, Guardians. And now a power jam for the Guardians as Draggy picks up a track cut call. So, look like 4 points there for the Guardians. So a couple power jams so far in favor of the Guardians. They really haven't been able to capitalize on it much. Only 4 points for each of those power jams. Wolfsbane now will start the jam solo as Draggy still sits in the belly box. One Guardian blocker also in the box, so a 4-on-3 pack advantage in favor of the Boxers. Some nifty moves there by Wolfsbane on the outside line. Picks up lead jammer quickly. So the power jam comes to an end. Draghi trying to complete the initial pass and does. Guardians back to full strength. And now we're going to have a power jam for the Boxers as Wolfsbane takes a seat. So this jam's going to go the full 2 minutes. Draghi with the power jam opportunity here. An opportunity to really cut into this Guardians lead. 4 points on that pass. Four more points there for the Boxers. 12 so far, 8 so far for the Guardians, and now the jam comes to an end. 3 more there for Wolfsbane and the Guardians. So a 11-12 jam in favor of the Boxers. The lead 18 points. Guardians 44, Boxers 26. Shira on the line now for the Guardians. Babs for the Boxers. And Babs is going to be your lead jammer Boxers. Calling that jam off just in the nick of time. Picking up 3 points there for the Boxers, 0 points for the Guardians. So Wolfsbane on the line now for the Guardians. De La Hoya out there for the Boxers. Wolfsbane's going to be your lead jammer. De La Hoya right on their tail. And Wolfsbane going to have to call it off as De La Hoya overtakes him. So a 0-0 jam there. Back in action now, and it's Polyrath out there for the Boxers. Shutter speed for the Guardians. And Polyrath's going to be your lead jammer Boxers. Oh. So a jammer penalty sends Shutter Speed to the penalty box. Meanwhile, 8 points for the Boxers. Now the lead just 7 points. We've got a timeout called by the Guardians. Looking for custom jerseys for your team? Jersey Beast can help. They offer free customized design in sports like soccer, hockey, baseball, and one of their favorites, roller derby. Jersey Beast can also create your team a store with options for fundraising. Check them out at jerseybeast.net and tell them about your team. Looking for skates or new protective gear to keep you on the track? Then look no further than Turn Left Skate Pro Hustle City. They have the expertise to keep you in the best gear and at the highest level of performance. Located in Maplewood, 26 Fitness helps people fall in love with fitness by creating an inclusive, body-positive, CrossFit, and weightlifting gym where strength builds confidence and community builds resilience. We work out because we love our bodies, not because we hate them. We pride ourselves on being welcoming, accessible, and completely non-intimidating. No egos, no judgment, just a supportive community that meets you where you are. Visit CrossFit26.com for more info. About to get back in action here. Babs is the lone jammer as the power jam continues. Shutter Speed stands in the penalty box. And Babs is going to be your lead jammer. Jewel Boxers. Four points so far for Babs. And there's another 4 points, and they're going to call that jam off. And I do believe that is a lead change. Boxers now on top by 1 point. De La Hoya taking the line for the Boxers. Shira out there for the Guardians. And Shira's your lead jammer, Guardians. Shira taking a bit of a gamble there, and it does not pay off. Only 1 point there for the Guardians, 4 for the Boxers. Babs on the line now for the Boxers. Wolfsbane out there for the Guardians. And Wolfsbane's going to be your lead jammer. Nice hit there by Splatter, forcing the call off. 2 points there for the Guardians. Official timeout called. The S1 Lifer helmet, best fit plus best protection equals made for roller derby. Get a lifer, be a lifer, S1 helmets. Having some scoreboard issues we're getting taken care of here, folks. Be back to action in just a moment.
Look into my eyes.
All right, everybody. Looks like we're getting close to having the scoreboard issue resolved here. Sorry about that. All right, back in action. And Polyrath's going to be your lead jammer for the Boxers. Shutter Speed out there for the Guardians.
Head draggy. Wasn't you.
And that jam comes to an end. 4 points for the Guardians, 0 points. Sorry, 4 points for the Boxers, 0 points for the Guardians. Next up on the jammer line, Shira for the Guardians. De La Hoya out there for the Boxers. And De La Hoya is going to be your lead jammer. And going to have to call that jam off as Shira was wide on their tail. So a 0-0 jam there. Next up on the jammer line, it's going to be Wolf's Bane for the Guardians, Babs for the Boxers. And Wolf's Bane is your lead jammer. Babs also right out immediately after. So Wolf's Bane hits the pack hard, picks up 3, and calls it off just before Babs can put any on the board. So a nice 3-0 jam there for the Guardians. So De La Hoya out there on the line for the Boxers, and Shutter Speed out there for the Guardians. And De La Hoya is your lead jammer, Boxers. Four points so far for the Boxers. And now we have a power jam for the Boxers. Shutter Speed headed to the penalty box. De La Hoya gonna go do work. Another 4 points there. Four more points, calls that jam off. So a quick 12-point strike there for the Boxers. Starting the next jam solo, that's going to be Babs out there for the Boxers. Shutter Speed still sits in the penalty box, so the power jam's still in effect. Both teams at full strength in the pack. Shira taking Babs all the way back into turns 3 and 4. Power Jam comes to an end as Shutter Speed's back on the track. So Shutter Speed gets out first, but they took their jammer cover off, so they were not eligible to get lead. And that allowed Babs to grab lead and call that jam off. So 0-0 jam. And the score, Jewel Boxers 73, Botanical Guardians 50. 6:24 to go here in the first half. Polyrath out there for the Boxers. Wolfsbane out there for the Guardians. So Polyrath, your lead jammer. Wolfsbane putting points on the board. Cruciferous headed to the penalty box. Boxers in a bit of penalty trouble. Two players in the box right now. Guardians with one. So 4 more points there for the Guardians, 3 for the Boxers. Next up on the line, it's Oscar De La Hoya, yeah, for the Boxers, and Shira for the Guardians. And Shira going to be your lead jammer, Guardians. So Shira calls that jam off, picks up 2. Wolfsbane on the line now for the Guardians. Babs out there for the Boxers. Final 4 minutes of the first half. Wolfsbane's going to be your lead jammer. So Wolfsbane calls that off, picks up 4 more points. And we're going to have a timeout called by the Guardians. 2:55 to go here in the first half. The score, Boxers 80, Guardians 68. Triad Sports and Family Chiropractic is a proud sponsor of tonight's game. Dr. Jennifer McCleary provides top-notch sports chiropractic care, injury rehabilitation, acupuncture, nutrition consultation, and cutting-edge recovery modalities. Whether you're looking to recover from an injury, prevent one from happening, or simply optimize your performance, she has the expertise and experience you need. That's Triad Sports and Family Chiropractic. Durable, functional, stable. The S1 Pro knee pads are built for roller derby. So the timeout has been turned into an official review. Getting the signal from Code Adam that the official review was unsuccessful. So next up on the jammer line for the Boxers, it's Draghi, and for the Guardians, it's Shira. And Draghi's going to be your lead jammer, Boxers. .4 points there for Draghi, and she's going to call that jam off. Polly Rath on the line now for the Jewel Boxers, and that's going to be Wolfsbane out there for the Botanical Guardians. And Wolfsbane's going to be your lead jammer, Guardians. Four more points there for Wolfsbane and the Guardians. So star pass from Polly Rath to Scarley. So we have a jammer change for the Boxers. Four more points there for the Guardians. That's going to be a lead change, everybody. So a lead change to finish the half. So your score at the half is going to be 96 Guardians, 84 Boxers. All right, everybody, about to get underway. Second half action. Still working on the scoreboard here, so I'll give you scoring updates as I can. Wolfsbane going to start things off for the Guardians. Babs out there for the Boxers. Second half is underway. And Babs is going to be your lead jammer, Boxers. And we've got a track cut call on Babs, so the first power jam of the second half is going to go to the Guardians. Four points there on that pass. No lead jammer, so this jam will go the full 2 minutes. So Draghi headed to the penalty box for a forearm penalty. So Boxers with 2 blockers in the box to start the next jam. 4-on-2 pack advantage for the Guardians. So 108 to 93 your score right now. Guardians over Boxers. Shearer out there for the Guardians. De La Hoya is going to be your lead jammer for the Boxers. De La Hoya with a nice apex jump, picks up 4 points. 0 points for Shearer and the Guardians. So official timeout called. Got a packed penalty box right now. Both teams down 2 blockers. Polyrath jamming for the Boxers, and this is actually a power jam start. We have a stoppage in play due to an injury. So Polyrath being helped off the track by Brawlo and Spin Diesel. Going to get them over to the medics to take a look at them. So about to get back in action. It's going to be a power start here for Babs for the Boxers. One blocker also in the penalty box for the Guardians, so a 4-on-3 pack advantage. And Babs is going to be your lead jammer, Boxers. Power Jam comes to an end as Cruciferous and Shira smash into the pack. Manecki headed to the penalty box now for the Guardians. Babs calls that jam off. Looks like 2 more points there for the Guardians, or for the Boxers. Shutter speed out there for the Guardians. That's Draggy out there for the Boxers. Shutter speed's going to be your lead jammer for the Guardians. Quick call off there. 2 points for the Boxers, 1 point for the Guardians. Now we're going to have an official timeout. Looks like a late penalty is going to lead Shutter speed sent to the box for the Guardians. So it's going to be a power jam start here. So the Boxers jammer up. Babs is the jammer for the Boxers. And Babs is going to be your lead jammer for the Boxers. So a little bit late with the call off there, was unable to lock up Shutter speed in the penalty box. So the power jam comes to an end. And it'll be De La Hoya taking on Wolfsbane. Got a tie game, everyone. Tie game, 109 apiece. As they're still working on that scoreboard. And De La Hoya is your lead jammer. De La Hoya calls that jam off, picks up 4 points. So the Boxers now have a 4-point lead. Regrets taking the jammer line for the first time tonight here for the Boxers, going up against Shira for the Guardians. Shira's going to be your lead jammer for the Guardians. Shira knifes through the pack, picks up 4 points. Looks like Shear's going to run this GM a little bit long, try to get their blocker out of the penalty box. So Shira calls off that jam before either side can put any points up on that last jam or on the last pass. Shutter speed out there now for the Guardians. Babs out there for the Boxers. Babs with some nice tightrope walking there on the inside line is going to be your lead jammer for the Boxers. Four points for the first pass for Babs. So 2 more points there for the for the Boxers there at the end of that jam. We're going to have a timeout by the Guardians. Triad Sports and Family Chiropractic is a proud sponsor of tonight's game. Dr. Jennifer McCleary provides top-notch sports chiropractic care, injury rehabilitation, acupuncture, nutrition consultation, and cutting-edge recovery modalities. Whether you're looking to recover from an injury, prevent one from happening, or simply optimize your performance, she has the expertise and experience you need. That's Triad Sports and Family Chiropractic. Best fit plus best protection equals the S1 Lifer helmet. Get a lifer, be a lifer. Proud sponsor of Arch Rival Roller Derby. Looking for custom jerseys for your team? Jersey Beast can help. They offer free customized design in sports like soccer, hockey, baseball, and one of our favorites, roller derby. Check them out on jerseybeast.net. Back in action here, De La Hoya out there for the Boxers. And De La Hoya is going to be your lead jammer. Wolf's Bane is your jammer for the Guardians. De La Hoya picks up 4 points, calls that jam off. Shearer on the line now for the Guardians. Draggy out there for the Boxers. One blocker in the box for each team. Both pivots sit in the box, so a 3-on-3 pack. A little bit of extra room for Draggy and Shearer to work with. And Shearer is going to be your lead jammer Guardians. 4 points for each jammer so far here. And that jam comes to an end. 4 more points there for Shira and the Guardians. $16:42 left here in the second half. Shutter speed, your jammer for the Guardians. Babs out there for the Boxers. And Babs is going to be your lead jammer, Boxers. Four points there for Babs on that pass. Jam called off. Not before 2 points put on the board by the Guardians. Back in action here, Wolfsbane out there. De La Hoya is going to be your lead jammer for the Boxers. Wolfsbane out there for the Guardians. Four more points there for Wolfsbane. And 4 for De La Hoya. So we got a low block call on Wolfsbane, which means a power jam for De La Hoya. Draggy on the line now for the Boxers. This will be a power start as Wolfsbane stands in the penalty box right now for the Guardians. Brawlo forces Draggy out, and that gives Wolfsbane the time they need to pick up lead jammer. 4 more points there for Wolfsbane. Wolfsbane calls that jam off. $10:45 to go here in the second half. Shearer out there jamming for the Guardians. Babs out there for the Boxers. A forearm call on Babs, so now a power jam here for the Guardians. Four points there for the Guardians. Shearer with 4 more points. Power jam comes to an end. And Shearer's going to pick up a few more points there and then call that jam off. Let's see. Two more points there at the end of that jam for Shearer. We're going to have an official review here by the Boxers, I believe. Yep. Only 2 points now separate these two squads. Botanical Guardians down by 2 points. All right, about to get underway again. Wolfsbane out there for the Guardians. De La Hoya out there for the Boxers. De La Hoya, your lead jammer, Boxers. So De La Hoya calls that jam off, picks up 4 points there for the Boxers. So 10 points now separating these two squads. 8:03 left to go here in the second half. Babs out there for the Boxers. Shira out there for the Guardians. And we're going to have a power. No. Each jammer with a track cut call. So now we're going to have a 2-minute jam. So each jammer is only going to spend a few seconds in the penalty box here. Now another track cut on Shira, so a power jam back to the Boxers. Ooh, another track cut call on Shira. The third one this jam alone. So that jam comes to an end. 4 more points there for the Boxers. And now we're going to have an official review for the Guardians. Boxers now up by 18 points, 199 to 181. 5:58 to go here in the second half. All right, about to get back in action here. De La Hoya starting this jam unopposed. Shira in the penalty box for the track cuts. And De La Hoya is going to be early jammer Boxers. Woo, nifty move there around the outside by De La Hoya. 4 points there. Power jam comes to an end as Shira re-engages the pack. Shira through on the initial pass. Meanwhile, De La Hoya slides around the outside low and picks up 4 points. So Wolfsbane out there for the Guardians. Babs out there for the Boxers. They're going to call that jam off. So Draggy now out there jamming for the Boxers. Shira out there for the Guardians. And Shira finds an inside line and is your lead jammer. Meanwhile, Draggy slips around the outside, completes the initial pass. So Shira attacks that seam, picks up 3 points. .327 to go here in the second half. The score, Boxers 211, Guardians 188. It's going to be De La Hoya out there for the Boxers, Wolfsbane for the Guardians. De La Hoya going to be your lead jammer. Each team with 4 points on that pass. Boxers perfectly content taking more time off that clock as they have the lead. So that jam comes to an end. 3 more points there for the Guardians. .144 to go here in the second half. And it's a tight one here. .25 points separating these two squads. Shira out there for the Guardians. Babs for the Boxers. Shira's going to be your lead jammer, Guardians. Boxers speeding that pack up. Trying to limit how many passes the Guardians can get. Running out of time, the Guardians are. They're going to have to call that jam off. 4 points there for Babs. And a timeout called by the Guardians. Less than a minute left to go here in the second half. Only 54 seconds on the clock. This next jam is likely to be the last jam of the game. Don't forget, folks, don't go anywhere after this game, as we do have our championship game coming up between the Foxes and the Scare. We will have an intermission, and then we will get to action there with our championship game this evening. So don't go anywhere, folks. This is a doubleheader. De La Hoya on the line for the Boxers, going up against Wolf's Bane for the Guardians. "17 points now separate these two squads. Oh boy, we got a power jam here for the Guardians. So Wolf's Bane and the Guardians on the power jam. Four points there on that first pass. Scarley with the big hit. Picks up a penalty, but that was a very good penalty. And now De La Hoya out on the initial pass. De La Hoya now putting points on the board. Meanwhile, Wolf's Bane forced down to the outside. Going to have to cycle all the way back. So star pass to Scarley. So time has run out. Let's get you a final score here. So your final score, Boxers 223, Guardians 219. So the Jewel Boxers are going to take third place. We're going to get some MVP awards handed out here, and then we'll have an intermission, and then we'll be back.